Are you gonna do editing also?
Sure.
The editing, because I don't know how to
I can do the editing.
Right. Are we recording right now?
Yeah, but just... Okay.
Okay, so I'm Teresa.
I'm Kaitlyn Jones.
And I'm Dom. And we dissected
A bullfrog.
a bullfrog.
So we're going to start with the muscular jumping leg, which is a powerful muscular hind leg that is built for the typical jumping motions that all frogs and toads use. And then we're going to move here. This is going to be the sacral hump, which is formed by the rigid pelvic girdle, and this rigidity helps to transfer the energy from the muscular hind leg into the forward motion when it jumps. So this whole back side here, the camouflage dorsal side, has a mottled pattern and is colored to camouflage the animal and its environment, like in the water, so it would look more like a stone or something like that. And then number 4 here is the tympanic membrane, which is this little part right here. This is the tympanic membrane. And the tympanic membrane separates the outer environment, like the water or air, from the middle ear. So it helps to protect the inner ear from getting like waterlogged. And then we have the eye, which is raised above the head, and so when when the frog is in the water and it submerges its head in its body, it can keep the eye outside of the water. And the eye is also protected by this nictitating membrane, and it helps to keep the water out of the eyes of the frog. And then here we have the nair, which is like a nostril, and it helps move air into the mouth of the frog. And then these are the forelegs here. So these were the jumping legs. We have the foreleg, and they're shorter and a lot less muscular. And then And then here are the webbed feet of the frog. So when you pull apart the little toes, you can see the webbing in between. The webbing helps to increase the water resistance of the hind leg for swimming for the frog. And this is one of the adaptations the frog has that's used for both aquatic and terrestrial environments.
The skin is used for protection and respiration. And here, turn it around. Here is its anus. We're like opening into it. And obviously that's where the waste comes out of.
Unlike mammals, which use negative pressure breathing where their diaphragm expands their lungs, lowering the air pressure in the lungs and causing air to be sucked in, the frog actually opens its nostrils and expands its mouth, which draws air into the mouth. Then it closes the nostril and contracts the mouth, which causes the air to be forced into the lungs. And then the reverse process brings air back out of the lungs. The frog expands its mouth while the nostrils are closed to inflate the mouth, and then it opens the nostrils and contracts its mouth so that the air is forced out through the nostrils. Here's the tongue.
Can you see teeth?
And here's the mandible. Do I see teeth?
Yeah. Yes, I think they're right there. Right?
I definitely see some teeth. Those are the maxillary teeth, upper ridge. Inside, we have these little pores near the roof of the mouth. That's called the internal nair. I think it's here.
Here, I think we should like flip it over.
And here.
So these again are the maxillary teeth, and they help the frog to hold its prey. Frogs feed primarily on insects and small invertebrates.
Here's the tongue.
Pink thing right there.
What else is inside the mouth?
And the tongue is designed to be extended out of the mouth to help capture its prey like insects. So when it'll like shoot this out of its mouth in order to capture its prey. And the end of the tongue contains glands that secrete a sticky substance that will actually make the prey stick to the end of the tongue. Also on the tongue are sensory papillae that help the frog to feel movements of the prey. So they're not really able to be seen, but if you feel them, they're small bumps on the surface of the tongue.
Point at them. They're right there. Okay, so we did all that.
So here we have
A female,
a frog.
and these are its ovaries.
Yep,
All of those?
all this mass
All of that?
here. Yeah, so this
Good
is
Lord.
gonna be a female frog.
I hate it.
The fat body.
Yeah, so
These are
this-
fat bodies.
these little finger-like things.
Those are nice ovaries.
Well done.
That's a fat body, right? Connected
Yep.
on here.
That is a fat body. Interesting too, because like if you look at theirs and the pig too to some degree, that fat is all subcutaneous, like on the skin layer. Your fat is stored in these little bodies on the inside, you know, ectothermic, endothermic something.
You're part of our
You're a part of the video.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were actually recording.
No, it's
okay.
alright.
Okay.
So these little things here, the fat bodies, you can see there's more of them underneath. And there's some there, actually attached to the ovaries. The fat bodies are usually stored, located near the kidneys as well as the ovaries, and they serve as an energy reserve in the form of fat for the reproductive structures, which is why it makes sense that they're near the ovaries, and the liver being here.
So this is the frog's method of storing fat.
Yeah,
Just putting it in like a separate body,
right.
not like under the skin like a mammal would do.
Yeah. And during mating season, these fat bodies would be more prominent, and especially on females like ours, where you can see they're pretty easy to detect. As soon as we open it up, you can see the little fingers kind of reaching out. So these are the oviducts here. These sections. And the oviducts transport the eggs from the ostia to the uterus. And so while the eggs are being transported, the oviducts secrete like a jelly-like material over the eggs. So we're looking here. Where did I just see it? It stores the eggs until it's time for mating. So
That, what's that?
the uterus.
That's the uterus.
Here's some more ovary. So that's really all we needed to know for the reproductive part.
Where do they transmit genetic material?
The cloaca is right here. Actually, it's probably this whole part right here. And the cloaca receives waste from the kidneys as well as fluids from the reproductive organs, and then transports them to the external environment through the opening in the cloaca, which is somewhere down here. So to start with the digestive system, we have here the liver, which is going to be the most prominent organ in the body cavity. So right when you open it up, you can see these dark lobes. The liver has a couple of different functions. One of them is to metabolize the carbohydrates and fat, and to produce bile. Bile is made up of it's an alkaline solution made up of bile salts, bile pigments, cholesterol, and other components that are all manufactured in the liver. Bile is then stored in the liver and delivered to the duodenum, which is part of the small intestine, and then that's transferred by the bile duct. The liver also disposes of old red and white blood cells by engulfing them. And then the liver also contains epithelial cells called hepatocytes that contain enzymes that detoxify poisons and toxins. So the liver helps with breaking down old red and white blood cells, helps remove toxins from the body, and produces bile.
Let's go ahead and point these out.
Yeah, so that was all just the liver.
That's the liver.
Yeah, that's what I was talking
These
about.
mushroom cat looking things. This is the liver. These are the ovaries. Nicely removed. Now we can see the digestive system better. We see the stomach here going to the
Small intestine. And eventually winding its way down into the large intestine here. So all this coiling you can see something in
This
there.
is the duodenum, and this is the ileum,
Yeah.
each of the small intestine.
And then from the stomach to the duodenum is the pyloric sphincter, and it regulates the passage of food into this from the stomach into the small intestine. So it regulates how much goes at a time.
Which is pretty similar to a human being,
Yeah.
or to a mammal. Just have faith that the esophagus is connecting the mouth to the stomach.
Yeah.
So that he is in there. It's in there for sure. But let's not tear the skin
might
up
have to
and try to
find
do
it.
it.
And then down here we have this little body here. This is going to be the large intestine. The large intestine digests bacteria, reabsorbs water, and forms the feces. And it eventually narrows here to the cloaca where it's going to be exported out of the body.
Right here, underneath where the liver was, we have the gallbladder.
Yep. And the gallbladder is this small sort of pea green structure. And it's right underneath underneath of the liver, and it stores and concentrates the bile that's created by the liver, and then delivers it through the bile duct to the intestine.
To wrap up the digestive system, here we have completely removed the stomach, where it would attach to the esophagus here, the small intestine, and this membrane here, this membrane that you can see between the coils of the small intestine is the
mesentery, and the mesentery, it's a double membrane that attaches the digestive system here, the small intestine, to the body wall. It contains a lot of blood vessels, lymph vessels, and nerves, and it also, that's how it transports necessary components between the nerves and the digestive system.
Just to recap, we've got liver, ovaries,
Fat bodies.
with the fat bodies there, ovaries, fat bodies, liver, stomach, small intestine, leading to the large intestine.
The amphibian heart is a 3-chamber heart, unlike most mammals, which have 4 chambers. It has the left and right atria, which is similar to mammals, but instead of having 2 ventricles that are separated from each other, it just has a singular one here. I think I'm good. Ready? Okay, so this is the amphibian heart, or the frog heart. The frog heart is made up of 3 chambers. We have the left atrium, the right atrium, and a singular ventricle. And then these are going to be the arteries and the veins that carry blood to and from the heart. So if you open the heart up, here again is going to be the left atrium. The left atrium is responsible for bringing in highly oxygenated blood from the pulmonary veins, which are going to be connected to the lungs, as well as the any veins that are connected directly with the skin, which is also part of respiration. So it brings that into the heart. That's how the oxygenated blood gets in. The right ventricle, which is obviously larger than the left, pumps blood out to the body. So you can see, so there are 2 atria, which is very similar to mammals. Mammals have a 4-chambered heart, which has 2 atria as well as 2 ventricles. However, with the amphibian heart, or the frog heart, it only has a singular ventricle, which is more similar to fish. The singular ventricle is much more muscular in this case than the atria, because it's responsible for pumping blood through the entire body cavity. And because it's only one, it needs to be a lot stronger. So this helps with the frog being adapted to living in water and on land, because it's similar to mammals in that it has 2 atria, and it can bring in different levels of oxygenated blood. And then the single ventricle helps it to survive better in water, like its fish relatives.
What you got going on there?
I'm removing the oviducts.
These are the oviducts,
sections. I'm going to
these
try.
large sections. So really, most of the inside of a bullfrog, of a female bullfrog, is like ovaries and oviducts.
Correct.
Jeez, that's like the bulkiest portion.
And that might be why they're usually a lot larger than the males.
These are the kidneys, and the kidney functions in the excretion of hydrophilic substances such as ions, water, and other nutritious waste. In amphibians, a small portion of the waste is removed through the skin. The waste leaves the body in the form of urine and ammonia. Are you good?
Bring it on.
Okay, so this is the urinary bladder. And waste in the form of urine and ammonia is stored in the urinary bladder until it's released into the external environment through the opening of the cloaca. So here you go. This little skin type looking thing.
This small black organ looking like a black bean right here. The bean, it's the spleen, so spleen, heart, lung,
Gallbladder.
Point at the kidneys again.
Here are the, on either side, kidneys,
Here.
here, and here. The lungs, here with the spongy texture and appearance, add oxygen, remove carbon dioxide in conjunction with the circulatory system.
Right, so the stomach, right here, the shark basically eats.
The frog is also capable of gas exchange through its skin, so it does do respiration through its skin partially, which is why the less efficient three-chambered heart is not as much of a problem because it doesn't rely completely on its lungs for oxygenation.
Alright, so here we have the brain, or half of it. We cut it in half. But here's the other half.
The optic lobe is the part of the brain involved in the frog's vision, connected to the eyes via the optic nerve. Directly above it is the cerebrum, which processes sensory information such as vision, hearing, touch. It's responsible for voluntary muscle control, intellectual thought, and memory. And at the top of the brain we have the olfactory lobe and nerves, quite a bit smaller than the optic lobe, which would indicate that the frog relies less on its sense of smell than it does on vision, making sense because it has to feed on insects, snapping them out of the air with that tongue, so vision is obviously an important sense for the frog. On the opposite side we have the Pituitary Gland, part of the endocrine system, which is responsible for controlling the action of the other glands, similar to a human. This is the optic chiasma, where the optic nerves cross. And the medulla oblongata, this is in the hind region of the brain and connects to the spinal cord. It controls autonomic functions of the autonomic nervous system like respiration, blood circulation, heart rate, and obviously involuntary functions. And here's where the spinal cord connects the brain to the rest of the frog's body. You done? Was it fun?
It was a blast.
Alright. Was it fun?
Yes, it was fun.
It was fun? Okay.